Alright guys, Scump back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Huge drama over the past 24 hours over the map sets going into the Major 2 qualifiers. We've talked about the spawn updates being a disaster over the last few days. Now the pros are calling for Zarqwa Hydroelectric to be removed from the competitive rotation because it is apparently unplayable in the current state of the game. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that one. So much new support over the last few days. Just absolutely fantastic. Let's keep it going, baby. Firstly, I've got to talk about this because this I thought was remarkable. We saw at Major 1 the trading card boxes, so the upper deck cards got revealed. We've kind of seen some in videos over the last few days. Now, Clay is trying to get hold of some. I guess he wants his own card, right, from I think the Cold War season. Now, he's tried to get these for retail price, which I think was $99 maybe, but it's basically impossible to achieve right now. I think I've seen these websites that basically just been scalping all these boxes. Now, I'm not really familiar with the world of these, like, you know, trading cards and sports cards and stuff like this, and how much these go for, and the scalpers, I guess, that are involved in this and selling on third-party websites, and seems like a bit of a nightmare to me. Now, first of all, it's cool that there's as much interest in these as there seems to be, because some of the prices I'm seeing are just outrageous, but I believe those $99 big boxes are now getting sold on these sites for, like, $240, and even the main sites that were selling them have now marked them up. Like, yeah, as Clay says, now triple marked up than they were before. How is it even possible to get these for retail? I don't know if it is anymore. Maybe you'll just have to wait for another drop if there is going to be another drop. But I mean, look at this. This is on eBay here. 21 watches on a Scump Formal Duo Ink Auto card with $8,000 price tag. Like, I have no idea. Okay, I'm not paying $8 grand. If you want to pay $8 grand for this, fair play. But I don't know if it's necessarily worth it. But nonetheless, it's cool. I love to see the fact that there's interest in this, and it's cool for the scene that this stuff is actually, you know, making waves. But you know, nonetheless, some of the prices I'm seeing are pretty outrageous. And even there's this from Tim Takes CDL, who sees this Scumpy card here on eBay with 18 bidders for $102 already. And this isn't even like his sign. I don't think he's hand signed this. This is just printed. Whereas I think these ink cards are actually hand signs. So you know, I don't know exactly what's going on, but this is pretty crazy to me, right? And even as Brian Stat says, 18 bids. I pulled 2 of these and gave one to my older brother. Gonna have to, you know, have him give that back to me right now so I can chuck it on eBay. So, I mean, yeah, all I'm going to say is, guys, just be careful about this and don't get scammed about it, right? Like, if you see cards like this, they might not be worth as much as you think they are, so just be careful. But if you do happen to have some of these, realize that you might be sitting on an absolute gold mine based on the way that market has been over the last few days. So definitely enjoyed your thoughts on that in the comment section below, but definitely had to mention it. Now, let's dive into all this scrim drama with the maps over the last few days. We knew that the map set at the start of this game wasn't particularly good, but at least it was okay when we had Crown Raceway, the Singapore Grand Prix map thing, right? And when we also had Hotel. Now, Hotel, thankfully, is still here for now, because we did hear rumors that because of copyright issues, because they literally copied a real hotel that wasn't so happy about their kind of, you know, hotel lobby being used as a kill zone, they weren't so happy, and therefore legal issues, whatever. Apparently, that's now been resolved, it seems, because the map is staying in the rotation for Major 1 and is hopefully still here for Major 2. We believe it is. The CDL hasn't come up with the rule set up yet to say, yes, it's gone, unlucky lads, and the pros are still practicing on it. Now, of course, the matches start on January the 13th, and this is where the drama really kicks in, because they've been scrimming the last few days. Some teams aren't yet scrimming. I believe that a few teams have players back home. Pred, for example, I think is back in Australia right now, so Seattle can't really practice. I think the London guys, Nasty's got some visa issues. Hydra is probably back home. I reckon Minnesota Rokkr as well. A lot of those guys, Afro, Bance, Cammy, they're probably back in the UK as well for Christmas. So, you know, they're going to start practice again in the early year. But most teams that are based in the US, or at least, let's say, half of the teams, at least half of the teams that actually have a roster right now, unlike OpTic, then they can actually get on with something and actually start practicing. Beans from the Boston Academy has been trying. Of course, you know, OpTic beats upset, but not the case as it stands. And this is, you know, another day, another classic spawn here on, I mean, it seems like Zarqwa Hydroelectric is one of the key offenders, because, I mean, look at all the, they just appear randomly. Like, 3 is here, 6 is here, 2 is here, 4 just spawns behind 6. I don't really know why. It just seems to be one of the, like, how are you meant to read these spawns? They're just all over the shop. It just seems that there was a dartboard involved here and just chuck in, you know, numbers at the map in terms of where they're going to spawn, and, you know, and also a bottle of Jack involved, I believe is what Maven said during the broadcast a couple of weeks ago. So, you know, I don't know what is going on here. I can't even explain it anymore, and I don't think the pros can really explain it either. And this is what Doug says, because this is the issue that some of the, especially challenger players have. They will have a cup, I believe, coming up pretty shortly in the new year, before I think the qualifiers start for the CDL guys. So this is, Doug says, remove Hydro from the map rotation until Infinity Ward updates the spawns in a week. So he reckons that there is a spawn update coming. Now this is the thing, right? Infinity Ward have apparently promised them, or obviously the pros have talked at length to the CDL about this over the last few days and said, look guys, when's the spawn update? This is disastrous. Change it back to what it was, or at least try and make them better somehow, because this is unacceptable. Infinity Ward have said, all right guys, yeah, we got you, but you know, you've got to give us a week. Now the issue is, if they do give them a week, which apparently they will, Doug's sources indicate January the 9th is when this is going to be sorted, which is slightly over a week in fairness. Now that is slightly before the CDL matches begin again, but I believe it probably lines up quite nicely, or well, not nicely as the case might be, with the challengers situation and the cups and the elites and all this type of stuff that goes on parallel to the CDL. And even if, let's say, the spawns magically all get fixed on January the 9th, the pros have to practice on the current map set until January the 9th with the current spawns, and then after January the 9th, just like 3 days before their matches start for the Major 2 qualifiers, then the spawns are all of a sudden entirely different and, you know, back to normality. That's the ideal scenario where the pros get barely any time to play again on the new spawns. So this is why teams like OpTic and others probably won't be too frustrated about this, just because they maybe don't have too much to worry about, because the pros are practicing on something now that will be entirely different by the time the matches start again for Major 2. And it's not just challenger players, it's not just Doug that's saying this, like obviously Beans agrees in the replies, even though some amateur players apparently say the spawns are readable, but Temp reckons, look, we've got to get rid of Hydro with these new spawns, playing Advanced Warfare with this pace, right? So Advanced Warfare known as one of their probably the fastest COD ever, to be honest, right? It was the game that you could actually drop 60 kills. I think Formal had the record that season with 60 kills in hardpoint. You don't see that nowadays. You get to another thing, even that game had a slight respawn delay. Like, it was crazy the pace of Advanced Warfare. And they also had the old hardpoint situation where it wasn't first to 250, as in, you know, nowadays you get into the hardpoint, it stops the clock and there's a 5-minute timer. Back in the Advanced Warfare days, before Black Ops 3, that wasn't a thing. You just got 10 minutes and it was like whoever has the most points at the end of the 10 minutes wins, but yet people could still drop 60 kills. Nowadays, not the case, but you know, with the spawns as they are now, like maybe you can once again hit some absolutely insane numbers with the way Hydro plays. That's what Temp believes, but he reckons it's got to go. Octane agrees that it's pretty much unplayable as it stands, and even Scump says, yeah, the game is unplayable on some of these maps right now. Maybe it's time for Scump just to call it a day early and not even bother with the rest of the year.
Was it Hydro your best map? It was like it was probably like 1A, 1B. But yeah, the map's like, I'm not even, like, no exaggeration, chat, the map is like pretty unplayable. It's like very, very, very bad. For the meantime, because people like don't know how to manipulate spawns that well yet. But for the meantime, the map is very unplayable. It's horrific. But yeah, that's how scrims went today.
Take a look at the new spawns. Oh, I've seen them, Caesar. I might just call it early. Jesus. Would you guys think that I'm an asshole if I just called it early? Be honest. Because holy, I've seen how the new game plays. I mean, sake. Holy. The game was actually okay. It was okay. It was playable. The first split. It was playable. Now, holy. It's insane. I don't understand, because they did this last year too. After the first major, they completely like the game up. Like, they did this last year too. Like, split spawns all over the place. Hotel was probably one of the better maps in my opinion. And now Hotel Hardpoint looks insane.
So what do you guys think about Scump's statement there as well? Because I know that, like, at the end of the day, if Scump's team had just won Major 1 and they were all absolutely firing on all cylinders, then he wouldn't be saying, oh, he's going to retire early because the spawns are bad. Like, obviously that is partially indicated or partially kind of created by the circumstances of OpTic. It's not just the state of the game. But we did hear Scump say, and we do firmly believe, I think, that Scump is retiring largely because the game hasn't been great over the last few years. If we were still playing Black Ops 3, as an example that I always excuse, then would Scump want to retire? I don't know, maybe, maybe not. Still at some point he's going to want to move on and do other things, but there's an argument that the state of the game for the last few years have cut Scump's career short, and he might still have gone for 1 or 2 more years if it hadn't been for the games being frustrating to play at the very least right now for the professional players. So, you know, would Scump call it early, right? Is that even a possibility? Like, it's a possibility, right? Don't get me wrong. Obviously, it would be, it only depends. He would only probably do that if there's, like, he doesn't want to let down his team, right, at the end of the day. He's there, he's committed to 1 more year. Shotzzy stayed on OpTic because he decided to commit to 1 more year. Scump, I'm sure, wants to finish at the World Championship, go out with a bang if he can. It's going to be difficult to achieve, but I don't think the season is chalked by any means, and they've got to do their best and focus up and try and focus on the latter half of the season, whereas usually they're focusing on the first half of the season, it seems. But it's probably not out of the question that if things go terribly wrong for OpTic and they could potentially find a Scump replacement within the OpTic camp, that he says, you know what, guys, I've had enough of this. It's absolutely disastrous to play, not having fun. I actually want to enjoy my 2023. Maybe he could call it a day. So we'll see about that one. But the other part of this is from Octane, right? He says Hydra has got to go now. So he reckons that we've got to get rid of it. So does Temp, and even Methods, right? We saw yesterday after playing on maps like Hydra, it was like, yeah, I've got to go straight to the bar and get a couple of beers just because, like, I can't handle all this chaos that we are seeing on the map over the last couple of days. And Mock says from the challenger side, it's not that bad, man, trust. But, you know, Octane doesn't seem to agree. So the pros want it gone. But as I say, will this spawn update come through on January the 9th? If it does come through, is that going to fix everything miraculously? Because let's be honest here, usually when Infinity Ward fix something, there's other things that get broken as well. So who knows, if we go into the Major 2 qualifiers with fixed spawns but broken other parts of the game, you know, it's another Infinity Ward absolute classic for the boys. So we'll see. Are Doug's sources correct? Will this get fixed in time? Or will the CDL step in and say, hey, look, we're going to play on this current patch update for the entirety of Major 2 to ensure there's no chaos. We are playing on these spawns, and therefore we're going to get rid of Hydro to make that happen. But do they really want to go from 5 maps down to just 4 for Hardpoint, and we're once again playing Vanguard? It's probably not the ideal scenario. So very much intrigued to your thoughts and all that in the comments section below. Quick note as well here from Brian's stats, actually, I thought it was kind of crazy that this season, of course, the team that won Major 1 was the New York Subliners, Hydra, Kismet, Priester, and Skies, a newly formed team. And that's the thing going into this game when I was talking about where Los Angeles Thieves should be, and I only put them in the A tier rather than in the real top tier, was because it's very rare that the team that wins the last event of the season, or champs or anything really, goes into the new season and wins yet again. This is a crazy statistic, actually, that the team that's won at the first event or the first LAN of the season every single year since Black Ops 1 in 2010, 2011, except for one time, and that being the Complexity Dynasty in Ghost that came off Black Ops 2 into Call of Duty Ghost. And in fairness, you know, that team is absolutely unbelievable compared to the competition at the time. Every year since then, since like 2014, the first event has been won by a newly formed roster. Now, there probably have been reigning world champions that have won the first event, but they've maybe done so on differing teams, and it's basically never happened in recent memory where the team that wins champs, or any team that is still formed, right? Because the OpTic team, they won Major 1 last year, they stuck their roster out, and they came through to the new season. They've just, you know, it's never happened where a team in that situation has won again. Apart from one time several years ago back in the Call of Duty Ghost days. Thought it was a pretty crazy stat, to be honest, and just goes to show how difficult it can be to maintain dominance even over the period of a few months, and maybe teams need to take note of this type of stuff going forward as well. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. And just to mention this as well, we had a great year on the Breaking Point YouTube channel. Look at all these beautiful thumbnails the boys put together of cracking videos, and hopefully more to come just like this as well in the new year. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, take care, and I'll see you next time.